Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bruce's Basement. As you can see, I am joined by Jonathan Donais of Living Wreckage, Shadows Fall, Anthrax, many, many more. As you can see, we are not in my basement today because Jonathan is very hard at work on some albums. Why don't you tell him a little bit about what you're doing?
So all three bands right now are writing and recording. So uh, it's just been nonstop, either jamming or recording. So yeah, I mean, it would have been nice if it was at different times, but the schedule just happens to
Oh
be
yeah.
where everyone's working on new music at the same time. So
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely a very tedious process, and I can imagine across three bands that definitely probably takes up a lot of time. So I guess we might as well run through all the bands that you're in. So you're in Shadows Fall, Living Wreckage, Anthrax. Are you in any other bands?
that's it for now.
That's it for now. Okay.
That's all I can handle.
Yeah, no, definitely a lot of different genres, and I definitely feel like one of the biggest things about you is your live performance, is your energy on stage, and that's one of the talking points that I had here because. When I first saw you, it was down in Connecticut, opening for Living Wreckage, and you were just going ham, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is insane. This guy is just going crazy, and it's not even like a huge room of people. You know, I feel like some performers might be like, if it's not a huge room, I'm not going to put my all into it. But man, I feel like if you're in front of five people, or if you're in front of 500,000 people, you're going to be putting your all into it.
Yeah, that's how I am. I just love playing music. Like from being in the area, I'm always playing clubs and bars around here. That's what I love to do, and I'm lucky enough where I make a living out of it. But I'd be doing it anyway. So whether it's with Anthrax playing these big shows or with Living Wreckage doing the bars, I'm having a great time either way.
You know, that's awesome, and I mean that's really the spirit about it. I feel like a lot of people might get caught up in money or in the fame or anything like that, but the music is really where it's at. Which is, you know, definitely something that I can relate to. You know, I love playing music. I've been doing it for a long time. I'm sure you've been doing it for a hell of a lot longer than me. But I
Yeah,
mean,
it's something that I never want to stop doing. It's on my mind constantly.
yeah.
I'm always thinking either a song I'm writing or a lead I'm writing. I'm just always thinking about music, like constantly.
You know, that's awesome. And when I was trying to look up some topics for you, I was scrolling through YouTube, and a couple of old videos popped up of you, some of you and Matt doing like interviews or teaching people warm ups and playing riffs. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy has been doing it for a long time, but guess what? He's still the exact same to this day. And it's awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've been touring for shit, man. uh, about 23 years now. I had to think about that. It's crazy to think about that.
Jeez.
Doesn't seem like it. It kind of just doesn't even feel that long ago. Where Shadows Fall was in the beginning, but then I'm like, wow, that's a real long time ago.
So I guess we might as well take it back from the beginning because I'm gonna assume that Shadows Fall wasn't your first band.
No, I had some bands, of course, when I was junior high, like around 14, and then before Shadows Fall, I was in a band called Aftershock with Adam from Killswitch.
Okay. Yep.
Uh, I went to high school together, and then Adam went to Berkeley because he was a couple years older than me, and that's when I started Shadows Fall because Adam was busy with school. So I started Shadows Fall, started handing demos out to the local people who I wanted to jam with. Matt was the first guy that I gave it to, and he loved it, and he was instantly into it. So we started it. Can you hold on one second? I'm sorry, my dog's crying. She can't get off the couch.
No, that's
I'm
fine,
sorry.
man. No, you're good.
Get off the couch.
Jeez, that's awesome. That's so funny. Um, Now correct me if I'm wrong, because I got this name thrown at me, but I couldn't find anything on it. 1 ton Tommy gun. Is that something that
That
you were related to?
No, I've heard the name though. I
Okay.
know they're a band from the area.
Yeah, because I remember someone threw around the name. They're like, oh yeah, John was in that band, and I'm like, okay, but I couldn't find anything about it, so I figured I would have checked. Um, but yeah,
Yep,
no.
not in that band.
No. All right. Moving on. I guess you were talking about how you were in high school and everything like that, starting some bands and everything. Did you end up going to college at all, or did you just go straight into music?
So I went to HCC for 2 years. I got my associate's degree, and then that was during when Shadows Fall started touring, and then we just kept touring.
Yeah.
So I never did anything more after that, which I regret. But it was also strike while the iron's hot, and I don't
Yeah.
know if I'll do it again. So
Yeah. No. I
just
mean, you only live once.
yeah, jumped into it and never looked back. But yeah, it would have been nice to stay in school, but
Well, I
rock and
mean,
roll.
I know. If I had to choose between, touring and going to school and, sitting in a classroom every day, I'm pretty sure I would choose touring every single day of the week.
Yeah, I was not. I was never into school. I actually couldn't stand it, to tell you the truth. If I would go back now, I would have. I probably would have got into a trade,
Mm,
knowing what I know now.
yeah.
'Cause I'm just the books. I'm not a school and books type guy. So,
Yeah.
but
It seems
yes,
like a lot of people that I've talked to that, have pursued what they really love and stuff like that. And a lot of people that pursue trades and stuff like that and like very hands-on jobs just really seem to not like school at
yeah,
all.
never a fan. And then, too with the music, you never know. With this with the music industry, you could it could end like that. So you've got to be prepared.
Yeah, that's very
And
true.
I kind of wish I had something like a backup plan like that because
Yeah.
I've had a rug pulled for me, a few times in this industry, and had to scramble. But
Yeah. Well, you've made it through and you're still here today. So apart from Shadows Fall, you're also in Living Wreckage, which is what I know you best from. Tell me a little bit about Living Wreckage.
so Living Wreckage started pretty much right before the pandemic. Anthrax. I started playing with Anthrax in 2013, and Anthrax was constantly on the road until 2019, pretty much always on the road. So then I finally got a break, and I was like, you know what? I have all these songs and riffs. I'd like to start something. So I started getting together with some local guys and jamming, and then the pandemic happened, and that I had nothing but time on my hands. So we ended up writing and record a record during the pandemic, and now it's kind of turned into like a thing that we're doing all the time, and we're just trying to grow it.
Mm. So I'm really curious, as far as that record, did you guys do that like similar to this, like digital meetings, kind of just sending stuff back and forth, or did you do it in person?
Um, in the beginning, we started doing it in person because it started in 2019, the fall of 2019. And then once the pandemic hit, we were kind of just doing our own thing. And then once people could hang out again, we went back at it. And um, when was that? Maybe 2021, I think we recorded the record, I think. And then it came
Gotcha.
out too.
Gotcha. All right, yeah. Because I know for us, yeah, I mean, I think a good 9 months we didn't get together to practice, which is honestly crazy to think about now. It's like we don't practice for like 2 weeks and we come back and we're like, whoa.
I'm going crazy. I mean, I know a lot of people, tour musicians, didn't mind the pandemic because they got to stay at home, but
Mm.
I like to always be playing and be at, as I said before, you see me at clubs all the time around here in bars. It's just not being able to play live was killing me.
Yeah, no, I mean that's really fair.
Friends, that's what I look forward to every week was the jam days and the hanging out and or like a show. You get excited to play a show, but
Yeah, no,
all that was
definitely.
wiped away, and it was pretty depressing. But a lot of music was written during the time, so
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think like our guitarist Eli, he basically learned guitar over the pandemic. Like I think he had owned one and he had played it a couple times, but he didn't know anything really. And I mean, again, he had nothing but time on his hands, so he was playing 8 hours a day just for fun, just because
yeah.
he had nothing else to do.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, thank God for the guitar because that kept me busy.
Yeah, a lot of people found their hobbies, and that's really what got them through it. But no, I mean, I 100% agree with what you're saying when you're talking about the shows and like being deprived from shows can be really just like annoying to deal with. Like, we had practice on Monday, and everyone was like, "Ugh, it's been so long since we've played a show," and blah blah blah. I'm like, guys, it's been a month.
Yeah,
It's been a month.
I never ever even pictured something like that happening because I know I'm like you got to be prepared for like not being able to play music. Like one day, there's a good chance that you're not going to keep up with it or you're not able to do it anymore.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was going to be like something like that stopped it.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
So
definitely.
I not even to be able to like to go out or jam with your friends or it was just I mean like I said I hated every minute of it.
Oh,
But
jeez, yeah. Yeah, well, we didn't play our first like outside shows till after the pandemic, so we didn't. I guess we didn't have to go through that. So I wonder how we would have gone through it now, like with experience of shows, and then just getting cut off for like a year and a half, 2 years.
yeah, it was crazy, and then it would seem like whenever there was light at the end of the tunnel, it was like nope, it's not
Yeah.
happening.
Yep.
So like, is this ever going to be a thing again? Like, the fuck is there to live for right now?
Yeah. Well, one of my other talking points here, which it's honestly kind of revealed itself, is what is your motivation behind everything?
For me, uh, I just love music, and I love hard rock and heavy metal so much. Like, I'm kind of a one trick pony when it comes to guitar. I'm a rock or metal guy, and I just love it. I don't get sick of it. You know, some people are like, I don't even listen to heavy metal yet. They're in a heavy metal band. I've never really understood that.
Yeah.
Why do you play something to listen to? But I read that a lot in interviews where people's like, yeah, I don't really listen to metal, but yet they're in a metal band. But
That's weird.
I love it. I live and breathe it. And for some reason, I just keep writing riffs and
Yeah.
and keep going. I constantly play guitar, whether it's warming up on something, practicing something, but or jamming along to what I'm listening to, and that often sparks an idea.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I guess a good question now knowing how tight you are with the guitar and what is, I guess you could estimate, what's the longest you've ever gone without playing your guitar?
Probably when I go on vacation, like if I'm on a vacation for like a week or so.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah.
other than that, it won't be longer than a day. Like there might be a day stuff, and I don't pick up the guitar, but usually no more than a day. And I'm
Yeah.
with the three bands, I really don't have a choice. I'm always have something to work on. So
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if you get the same feeling. Like sometimes if I like go on vacation or something like that, and I don't have the ability to play or something like that, I'll kind of get like homesickness from my drum set. I'm like, oh, I just want to play.
yeah. Or I'm like, if I have like an idea that's not complete, and I'm like, oh man. Or if I'm listening to something, I wish I had my guitar on me to see if the idea in my head will work.
You know, I think one of our songs actually that's on our album that's coming out soon. It literally the riff was written by Eli when he went on vacation to like Cape Cod. He was like just jamming riffs, and I'm pretty sure one of those riffs was one that's in a song now. So it is pretty funny because yeah, he never puts that thing down.
Yeah.
But definitely not a
I know.
bad thing. Moving on, I guess another one of my questions was like, how do you go about managing everything? Like, how do you go about managing your day to day? How do you go about, making sure that you give everything equal amount of time and focus?
Yeah, that's just I always see what's my priority, like what has to be done first, and then I wake up and I start on whatever needs to get done. Really,
Yeah.
it's nothing too complicated. Like, well, I need to, write a lead for Anthrax, so I start getting in lead mode and listen to stuff that inspires me and jamming along, and then I just jam along to a track,
Yeah.
whatever. sound. Like if I'm writing a lead, I'll loop like a rhythm over and over again and just keep jamming and jamming until stuff sticks.
Gotcha. That's pretty interesting. Now, when you go about that, do you? I know some guys are pretty half and half, so I'm curious what you do. Are you like 100% stick to just playing with an amp, or do you run like a DI into your computer and play through there?
No, I run my I got a little practice amp and then I have a looper pedal and I
Gotcha.
just loop the I do it old school way. And I just take it pieces by pieces, you know.
Yeah.
So once I'm happy with a section, I mean, because I don't record even. I'm an idiot when it comes to technology. So if I like it, then I record it on my iPhone, and I'll be like, oh, section one of this solo, section two of this solo, and then then I'll practice it to be able to play it all the way through.
Gotcha. No, but I mean that's not a bad thing. I feel like that's a very like organic way to go about it. Honestly, like especially with like the looper pedal and everything like that. I feel like making everything digital can almost make it, in the long run, sound less organic, more like not real, I guess. So I feel like honestly the way you're going about it is better. Honestly.
Yeah, just not being very good with technology and stuff. I don't have a choice. So yeah, that's the way I do it. And uh, I'm not the type of guy that goes in the studio and just go improvises. I write everything out, um, so I know what I'm doing, and
Gotcha.
I'm not sit there like, ah, shit, I don't have any ideas. So I have a pretty good idea what I want to do. Obviously, some things change, but I go in there knowing pretty much what I'm going to play.
Gotcha. Yeah, and so I'm curious because, you know, I don't know how you guys might go about it. Like, do you guys have like a producer that's there with you guys, like recording along with it, or is it just you guys just meet and record?
Uh, for all the bands, we just meet and record until we have to do the record, and then whoever's recording the record deals with that stuff.
Gotcha.
But at first, all the demo. Uh, so yeah, I mean, for Anthrax, I write everything at home, and then I send it off to them, and once it's approved, then I'll go with their producer and record, and then for Shadows Fall and Live in Wreckage, we demo everything at Matt's house, Matt Bashant's,
Yep.
because he's got a studio house and he's pretty good with that stuff. So
Gotcha. All right, yeah, no, that makes sense because I know when we were in studio, I feel like studio is not something that you can kind of prepare for, go 100% in and get 100% out. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely a learning curve with recording in the studio, I feel like. Mm-mm.
yeah, it definitely is. Especially, well, it's a lot different now than when I started doing it, because now everyone's got their home studios, and you can kind of what it's going to sound like before you do it. Where when I was a kid, I didn't know what my leads were going to sound like until I recorded it. I had it and I was jamming it, but I didn't know until I actually went to the studio, and I was like, oh no, this isn't working.
Yeah, no, 100%. I feel like it's also, I mean, it's even something so simple as it being a different environment can kind of throw you off. Things sounding differently. We went in, practiced like 3 months every single week, just focusing so hard on getting everything perfect. And then we go in and there's certain things where it's like, well, now we have to adjust for this, and it is something you have to learn to like be able to adjust and to be able to, especially like when, because there's been a couple of times our producer was like, all right, well, I want you to change this. It's like, whoa, well, I've been practicing it this way for the past year, so now I gotta
Yeah,
on the spot change.
on the spot, that can be a pain too. That can really like lock you up when you're like, oh man, because sometimes it's hard on the spot to get inspired,
Yeah.
and especially when you're used to doing something. So yeah, that part in the studio can suck when you're like, oh fuck, I gotta rewrite something.
Yeah, sometimes it can't even be frustrating because it's like,
Yeah,
well, I had this part that sounded perfect. It's worked live all this time, but now we try and record it, and for some reason it doesn't work.
yeah, it's funny because you can be in a practice space or even playing it live, and then you record it and it comes across totally different and it doesn't work.
Yeah, no, it can be super weird. Like,
Well, the same thing, vice versa, where you could record a song, and then you're like, oh man, the song rules, or you're feeling it, and then you go play it live, and it just
Yeah.
doesn't fly. Wow, that song really didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. 'Cause especially within studio, you can focus on like layers and stuff like that. So maybe sometimes playing it live can feel kind of empty and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's it too. If you have a lot of that stuff, like background vocals or a lot of guitar layers, it's hard to do that live unless you have a bunch of people.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. Which I mean, some bands do. I mean, I know there's a couple bands like first one that came to mind was like Green Day. You know, they started as a smaller group, but now there's like 6 or 7 of them on stage because they have like a piano guy, and then they have a guy that's just doing background vocals, and then a guy that's doing an extra guitar track and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's kind of like what Ghost did too. Like, they have. So I think that's cool though, because then you don't have to run anything.
Yeah, and it can make the live performance better in some cases.
Yeah, but then everything's live at that point. But you also have to have a budget for that. So I can
Yeah,
understand. They're like smaller bands. They could have all those ideas in their head, but it'd be hard to pull off live without
yeah,
running
no.
something.
Definitely. I'm curious because I've been asking everyone this question so far, and it might be a little bit of a thinker because you've played so many shows. But what, if you have one, what is your favorite show that you've ever played?
Oh man, I don't know about show. I can't think of any specific one, but like some tours really stick out. Um, like the one Anthrax did with Maiden in South America
Okay.
was unbelievable, and we were able to fly on Iron Maiden's plane too. So
Jeez.
Bruce Dickinson's flying it, and we're playing these
He's the
huge
one
stages.
flying.
Yeah, he was flying it, and like Total Pro airline pilot would get on the intercom and tell you the weather, how long the flight was going to be, and all that. And I'm like, wow,
That's
Bruce
insane.
Dickinson up there. And yeah, I mean, and they're like a religion out in South America. They're massive. I mean, they're massive everywhere, but it's just people were going bonkers,
Yeah.
And it was that was something where I was like, holy shit, something like that will never happen again. And then the Shadows Fall ones, like doing the Ozfest, were amazing. I missed those. The traveling U.S. festivals like Mayhem and Ozfest. Those
Yeah.
I had fun on those, and there's a bunch of different bands, and it ends up being really fun and a lot of good hangs.
Yeah, I feel like festivals have really kind of changed over the past, like, say 20, 30 years.
Yeah, it seems like now they're just one-offs, like, yeah, and they're not touring anymore. They're not like something like Ozfest. You're playing every night,
Yeah.
going sit. That was fun. I miss those tours. Hopefully, one day one of them will be able to come back.
Well, I've heard over in like Europe, the festivals have been kind of growing a lot since the lockdown and everything like that. There's been a lot of festivals over there that have been growing.
Yeah, and then the U.S. now is starting to have festivals like Europe, which is awesome
Yeah.
because U.S. didn't really have hard rock heavy metal festivals before. It really seemed like over the last 5 years that there's a festival everywhere now, which is great.
Yeah. No, I mean I feel like since the pandemic, I feel like everyone's kind of gotten a really like big appreciation for like going out and doing all these activities and stuff like that, going to festivals. So I think that's maybe why they've been gaining so much traction.
Yeah, those are a lot of fun to do, and it's cool because you get to see it's not all just one style of music. You can get some rock bands, some metal, and pop rock, and they all kind of mix in there.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed when I went to, I think the only big festival I've ever been to was Boston Calling out in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, there was Weezer and Metallica and some pop bands and some psychedelic whatever. I mean, there was a really big mashup and mix of styles and artists, which I thought was interesting, mainly just because.
Yeah, have everything from a band you'd hear on the radio every day, like Foo Fighters, and then the next stage over, Cannibal Corpse is playing.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's super fun. But I mean, I guess it's just a really good way to get a lot of people to a show is just to have that mix of genres.
Yeah, it's a good way to open up people's eyes too. They wouldn't check out other bands. You're kind of forced to at that point. And then a lot of people probably get into a lot of new bands that way that they would have never even cared about or even tried to look up.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it's a really good way to expose people, especially with nowadays things like streaming. I guess it makes people's genres very very narrow because they can just select whatever they want to listen to and listen to that versus something like say radio or even if we're going back a little bit further, like going to like record stores and stuff like that, and seeing something and becoming interested in it.
Yeah, and if you see a band too, it's I mean I know a lot of people complain about streaming and stuff and the music industry, but it's like, I mean, everyone's always bitched about the music industry. I mean, I don't think anyone ever said, it's a good idea to do that.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. The good thing is about something like that is if you see a band right away, you can go check out their stuff without having to try, especially for like trying to find stuff. You could have, when I was a kid, I had to go to order the CDs and stuff because a lot of the death metal and stuff you couldn't even find in the mall. You just couldn't find it. But now it's streaming. It's a lot easier to go find new bands.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes bands a lot more accessible. Makes it easier to just share your stuff because there is a decent amount of people out there that just don't care about money.
Yeah, I also get the other side too, where like they're not paying the artists what they think they should be paid. I get that too, and it makes it harder for getting tour support from labels and stuff because they're not making this much money. But there was always something to complain about.
Yeah, yeah.
It is what it is. And, you just got to do it because you love it. It's not easy.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's definitely a sacrifice, but the music business has always been a sacrifice. I mean, how many cars talk about musicians living in their cars and stuff like that because they were so broke? But yet these are musicians that we love.
No one, way before streaming, no one ever was like, what's a good idea is you should go in a band and try to make a living off that.
Yeah, if you want to be a real money maker, go join a band.
Especially a heavy metal band.
Oh yeah, definitely a maybe a select type to certain people, and like at least certain stuff like maybe studio band might pay more. I have no idea. But yeah, no. I feel like it's definitely interesting how like things change, and of course we're hearing all of this of it was so much better back in our day doing all this live stuff. Nowadays it's so hard for you guys to get started, and it's like thank you for the great motivation.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever easy. It might be harder now. I don't, because it's just the competition's through the roof now because everyone is uploading their stuff to all those platforms and trying to get people's attention. Where before, there was a certain amount of bands that got signed in the record label push, but now everyone's fighting for the same space.
Yeah, that's very true. But again, I mean, yeah, people will tell us like, oh, it's so hard nowadays, but it's like, well, I mean, there may be certain things that are more difficult, but also at the same time, like, there's a lot of things that have become a lot more easy. Like the fact that I can just go onto Facebook, look up someone's name like locally, and shoot them a message. That was a lot harder.
You can look at it both ways. You'd be like, "Oh, we had that back then, but you have this now." So there's always going to be pros and cons, and it's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, no, I mean, everyone's always going to find a reason to complain about something, but I mean, that's just the world we live in.
Yeah, it's just you deal with it or you don't.
Yeah, and it seems like you've dealt with it really well. I think you have you're in a position that a lot of people would really love to be in. I hope to be in that position one day. I hope I can be in the position where someone asks you what my favorite show is, and I can go, well, actually, my favorite tour was. I mean, that's what I would love. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm very lucky that I got to do this. even if it ended tomorrow, I've had a lot of great experiences. I've met a lot of my heroes. I've got to tour or play shows with them. So, um, if I think about that stuff, I'm like, wow, that's pretty amazing that those opportunities happen. But yeah, I mean,
That's
I
incredible,
would be,
man.
like I said, I'd be doing this either way. And you see me all the time. I just love to
Yeah.
play. So I'll five people at a bar down the street or
Yeah.
whatever.
It's not like
I,
even though you are a huge rock star, it's not like you have a huge rock star ego. You know what I
I'm
mean?
definitely a huge rock star. My bank is statements know that.
Hey, as we were saying earlier, it's not a moneymaker.
Yeah, but I'm still lucky enough where I get to tour and do this and get by.
It's super awesome, man. I really appreciate you coming on here and helping me out with doing this and giving your time up for me with how busy you are. I really appreciate everything. Super awesome interview, man. I can't wait to edit it up and get it out there. I'll make sure to put all your, links and everything in the description. And yeah, I really appreciate it, man.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me, Bruce.
Yep, no worries, man.